Professor Zalther stood frozen in the lecture hall. His 3 eyes were fixed on the screen. The human military records glowed in front of him. His voice shook as he whispered, "What kind of species did we invite to our academy?" The story started 3 months ago. The Galactic Council was very proud. For the first time in 500 years, they invited a new species. Earth had just discovered faster than light travel. The humans seemed peaceful and friendly. They had no claws, no armor, no weapons on their bodies, just soft skin and bright eyes. Professor Zalther was excited. He taught military history at the Universal Academy. He wanted to teach these new creatures. They looked so weak and harmless, like small children who needed guidance. The council sent invitations to Earth. 20 human students would come to learn. They would study proper warfare. They would learn honor and rules. They would understand how civilized species fight wars. The first day arrived. 20 humans stepped off their ship. They wore simple blue uniforms. They smiled at everyone. They shook hands with all the professors. The alien teachers thought humans were adorable. Professor Zalther stood before the class. "Welcome to the Universal Military Academy. Here you will learn how advanced species conduct warfare. You will learn about honor, about rules, about fighting with dignity." The human students sat quietly. They took notes. They asked polite questions. One human raised her hand. Her name was Captain Sarachun. "Professor, may I ask something?" "Of course, young human. Do you want to see Earth military records first? Maybe it helps you teach us better." The alien professors laughed. What could these soft pink creatures teach them? They had no fangs, no poison, no natural weapons at all. No need, Captain Chun. We will start with basic lessons. That night, Professor Zalther could not sleep. Something bothered him. A strange feeling in his chest. He decided to check the human database. Just a quick look, just to understand their background better. He walked to his office. The halls were dark and empty. He sat at his computer. He typed in the access codes. The Earth military database opened. His blood turned cold. The first file appeared on screen. The title made his hands shake. Human Conflict History. Warning: viewer discretion advised. Professor Zalther stared at the screen. His finger hovered over the open button. Should he click it? Should he look inside? He took a deep breath. He clicked. Professor Zalther clicked the file open. Numbers filled his screen. His translator device started glitching. The numbers could not be right. Humans fought 14,000 wars in just 5,000 years. That was impossible. Most alien species had maybe 10 wars in their entire history. Zalther sat alone in his dark office. The screen glowed blue in front of him. He scrolled down slowly. His hearts were beating fast. Each line showed another war, another conflict, another battle. The First World War, 20 million dead. The Second World War, 85 million dead. This must be a mistake. These numbers are too high. No species kills as many of their own people. But it was not a mistake. Zalther kept reading. Humans fought constantly. Brother killed brother. Neighbor attacked neighbor. They fought over land, over resources, over ideas, even over which god to worship. The professor mind could not understand. In galactic society, wars were rare. Maybe one war every 500 years. They were small, controlled. Only soldiers fought. Civilians stayed safe. But humans were different. They never stopped fighting. Zalther found something worse. Humans created weapons to cause maximum pain. Poison gas that burned lungs. Fire bombs that melted skin. Nuclear weapons that destroyed entire cities in seconds. They used these weapons on themselves, on their own species. His hands trembled. He opened another file. Total war. He read the definition. Humans did not just fight armies. They targeted everything. Cities, farms, hospitals. Nothing was safe. They burned forests. They poisoned water. They destroyed anything the enemy might use. The sun started rising outside. Zalther had been reading all night. His eyes hurt. His mind felt broken. He walked to class like a ghost. The human students sat in their seats. They looked so innocent. so young and peaceful. Captain Sarachin smiled at him. Professor, you okay? You look sick. Zalthar tried to smile back. I am fine. Today we discuss the rules of galactic warfare. Rule number 1. Never harm civilians. Never attack non-military targets. Sarah raised her hand slowly. Her face became serious. Professor, what if the enemy hides among civilians? What if they use hospitals as weapon storage? What if they put military bases in schools? The classroom went silent. Every alien student stared at Sarah. What kind of question was that? Who would do such terrible things? But Zalthar knew the answer. Humans would. Humans did. After class, ended Zalthar. Stopped Sarah in the hallway. Captain Chun, I read some of your history last night. Sarah's face changed completely. The smile disappeared. Her eyes became cold and hard. How much did you read, Professor? Just the surface. The world wars. The chemical weapons. The nuclear bombs. Sarah stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. That is just the beginning, Professor. You should stop reading now. Trust me. Why should I stop? Sarah looked directly into his eyes. Her voice was calm but terrifying. Because once you truly understand how humans fight wars, you will never sleep peacefully again. Every time you close your eyes, you will see the things we did. The things we are capable of doing. She walked away down the empty corridor. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. Professor Zalthar stood alone. His legs felt weak. His hands were still shaking. What kind of monsters did we invite into our academy? The training simulation room was ready. Week 3 had arrived. Time for the first real combat test. The alien professors designed a simple scenario. Defend a peaceful colony from enemy attack. Use proper military tactics. Protect civilians. Follow the rules. 50 alien species completed the test already. They all followed the same pattern. Set up defensive positions. Protect the innocent. Fight with honor. They won with acceptable casualties. Average score was 75 out of 100. Now it was humanity's turn. Captain Sarah Chun led her team of 20 soldiers into the simulation chamber. The scenario began. Enemy forces approached the colony from the north. Standard attack formation. Nothing unusual. The human team moved fast. But they did something unexpected. They abandoned the colony completely. Professor Zalthar watched from the observation room. What are they doing? Why are they running away? The other professors shook their heads. They are failing already. Humans do not understand basic defense. Sarah led her team into the mountain regions. They left the colony empty. The enemy forces marched in without resistance. They took control easily. They celebrated their victory. The alien professors started writing failure reports. But then something happened. The enemy soldiers in the colony got sick. Their water supply was poisoned. The food storage was contaminated. Power generators stopped working. Within 2 days, the enemy was weak and confused. Then the humans attacked. But not like normal soldiers. They came at night, silent as shadows. They used hit and run tactics. Attack and disappear. They set traps in the streets. They sabotaged supply lines. They made strange sounds in the darkness. The enemy's soldiers could not sleep, could not rest, could not think clearly. The simulation AI started showing error messages. Unrecognized tactics. System overload. Calculating. Nothing in the database matched what humans were doing. In 72 simulated hours, a human team destroyed an enemy force 5 times their size. 0 human casualties. Complete victory. The simulation ended. Silence filled the observation room. No professor could speak. They just stared at the results. Professor Zalthar finally found his voice. They broke every rule. Every single rule of warfare. Sarah Chun turned to face him through the glass window. Her voice came through the speaker. No, Professor. We won. Your rules are designed for species that fight fair. Humans learned long ago that fair fights get you killed. We fight to survive. Nothing else matters. Professor Kreeth stood up. He was from the warrior planet Drax. His species was famous for combat strength and honor. His face showed disgust. Young human, your tactics are dishonorable. You abandoned innocent civilians. You poisoned water supplies. You attacked sleeping enemies. You have no honor. Sarah walked closer to the observation window. Her eyes were cold. Her voice was steady. Professor Kreeth, with all respect, honor does not matter when you are dead. Honor does not feed your children. Honor does not protect your home. Survival matters. Victory matters. Everything else is just pretty words. The Drax warrior had no response. For the first time in his life, he felt something new. Fear. Not fear of losing a fight. Fear of fighting an enemy with no rules. That evening, the Academy High Council held an emergency meeting. All the senior professors attended. They reviewed the simulation recordings again and again. These humans are dangerous. One council member said, "Should we expel them from the academy?" Another asked nervously. Professor Zalther spoke carefully. "No, we invited them here. We must understand them. I will continue my research into human history. We need to know what we are dealing with." The council members looked at each other. They agreed reluctantly, but fear showed in their eyes. Late that night, Zalther returned to his office. He sat in front of his computer. His hands were shaking again. He opened another file from Earth Military Database. The title appeared on his screen. Vietnam War. How Rice Farmers Defeated a Superpower. Zalther took a deep breath. He started reading. Within minutes, tears rolled down his face. Something a species only did during extreme trauma. What kind of species were humans? What kind of nightmare did Earth create? Professor Zalther could not stop researching. It became an obsession. Every night, he returned to his office. Every night, he read more human history. Every night, he discovered new horrors. He learned about the Mongol Empire. One human named Genghis Khan conquered half of Earth. 40 million people died. The Mongols built pyramids from human skulls. They did this to scare their enemies. It worked. He read about the Roman Empire. They crucified thousands of people. They fed humans to wild animals for entertainment. The crowds cheered and laughed. He discovered medieval warfare. Knights wore metal armor. Castles were built to defend against other humans. Siege warfare lasted for years. People starved inside their own cities. Parents ate their children to survive. But modern warfare was worse. Much worse. Zalther learned about trench warfare. Millions of soldiers sat in mud for years. They shot at each other across empty fields. Poison gas floated over the trenches. It melted their lungs from inside. Young men drowned in their own blood. He read about atomic bombs. 2 cities in Japan were vaporized in seconds. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 200,000 people died instantly. Their shadows were burned into walls. That was all that remained. Zalther whispered to himself in the dark office. They did this to themselves. Their own species. Their own people. But what terrified him most was human innovation. Every time humans invented something peaceful, they immediately weaponized it. Every single time. Airplanes were invented for travel. Humans made bombers. Computers were created for calculations. Humans made guided missiles. Chemistry was studied for medicine. Humans made poison gas. Biology was explored for health. Humans made disease weapons. Even atoms were split for energy. Humans made nuclear bombs. Even space exploration started as weapons research. Everything became a weapon. The next morning, Zalther walked into class. His hands shook. His voice cracked. He could barely stand. Today, we discuss weapons development in civilized societies. Most species develop weapons slowly over thousands of years. Very slowly. A human student named Lieutenant Marcus Webb raised his hand. His face was calm and friendly. "Professor, how long did it take humans to develop weapons?" Zalther looked at his notes. His voice was barely a whisper. From the first firearm to nuclear weapons. 600 years total. The alien students gasped. That was incredibly fast. Impossibly fast. Marcus continued asking questions. "And Professor, do you know how long it took us to go from the first atomic bomb to hydrogen bombs? The ones that are 1,000 times more powerful." Zalther checked his files. His 3 eyes went wide. 7 years. Just 7 years. The classroom went completely silent. You could hear hearts beating. An alien student from the peaceful planet, Zentar, raised her tentacle. Her voice was shaking. Why? Why do humans create such horrible things? Why do you build weapons that can destroy your whole planet? Sarah Chun answered before Professor could speak. Her voice was matter-of-fact, like she was discussing the weather. Because if we do not create them first, someone else will. On Earth, the species with the biggest weapon survives. The species with smaller weapons dies. It is that simple. It has always been that simple. After class, ended Professor Kreeth approached Zalthar in the hallway. The Drax warrior looked troubled. Something Zalthar had never seen before. I have been watching the humans during physical training. I am very concerned. Why are you concerned? Zalthar asked. Because they are holding back. They are not showing us their true abilities. They are pretending to be weaker than they are. What do you mean? Kreeth's voice dropped low. I challenged Captain Chun to a hand-to-hand combat demonstration. Just a friendly sparring match. She refused immediately. Maybe she was being respectful of your rank. No. Kreeth shook his head. She was being merciful. I saw her eyes when I asked. She calculated how quickly she could kill me. Then she smiled politely and said it would not be appropriate. Both professors stood in the empty hallway. The sound of students laughing came from distant classrooms. Normal students. Students who did not know 1,000 ways to kill. Zalthar felt sick to his stomach. What have we done? What have we invited into our peaceful academy? Kreeth put his hand on Zalthar's shoulder. The Drax warrior looked old suddenly, tired and scared. My species has been warriors for 10,000 years. We pride ourselves on combat prowess. We thought we were the strongest in the galaxy. He paused and looked at the floor. But humans are not warriors. They are something else. Something we do not have words for. It happened during week 8. Without warning. Without mercy. A rogue faction from the Krell Empire attacked the Academy. Their warship appeared from nowhere. It was massive and armed with heavy weapons. They sent one message. Surrender immediately or die. The Academy had never been attacked before. Not once in 500 years. It was neutral ground. Sacred ground. Everyone respected that. Until now. Red alarms screamed through every corridor. Emergency lights flashed. Alien students ran in panic. They had no idea what to do. Professors tried calling for help. The security team froze in confusion. They trained for accidents, not for war. But the humans did not panic, not even for a second. Captain Sarah Chun's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Human unit battle positions now. Protocol 7 immediately. 20 human students moved as one. No questions asked. No hesitation. They ran to the training armory. They grabbed weapons. They split into 4 teams of 5. Each team secured a different section. They moved like a machine. Professor Zalthar watched in complete shock. How are they so calm? How do they know what to do? Lieutenant Marcus Webb ran past carrying ammunition boxes. He stopped for 1 second. Professor, get to the safe room right now. Do not argue. Just go. But what about the other students? What about... Marcus' face changed. His eyes became cold and empty, like looking into deep space. Go now. We will handle this. Zalthar ran. He had never seen that expression before. That was not a student. That was a predator. The Krell attackers breached the station. 20 heavily armed warriors came through the main airlock. They had advanced armor, energy shields, plasma rifles, military-grade equipment. The Academy security team surrendered immediately. They had no chance. The Krell warriors laughed at them. This would be so easy, like taking candy from babies. Then they entered Corridor Delta where the humans were waiting. The lights went out completely. Pure darkness. The Krell activated their helmet lights. They scanned the area. Empty corridor. No movement. No sound. Show yourselves, cowards. The Krell commander shouted. His voice echoed off the metal walls. Silence answered him. Then hell began. The humans attacked from everywhere at once. From above through air vents. From below through floor panels. from behind through hidden maintenance tunnels. They knew every inch of the station, every passage, every hiding spot. The Krell had better weapons and armor, but humans had something else. 5,000 years of experience fighting in every condition imaginable. Sarah Chen led her team like a chess master. She did not fight fair. She could not. The humans were outnumbered. They were outgunned. Fair fighting meant death. So they used every dirty trick Earth ever invented. They set traps using maintenance equipment. They created ambush points. They made noise in one corridor, then attacked from another. They used psychological warfare. Strange sounds in the darkness. Whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. They made the Krell think there were hundreds of humans. The Krell warriors started to panic. Their advanced training meant nothing. Their superior weapons were useless. They could not fight what they could not see. One Krell soldier fired wildly into the darkness. Stop hiding and fight like real warriors. A human voice answered from the shadows, cold and amused. Real warriors do whatever it takes to win. Your honor will look great on your tombstone. Within 30 minutes, 5 Krell warriors were down. Not dead. Humans did not kill them. They disabled them, injured them just enough to slow down the others. Within 1 hour, the remaining Krell retreated to their ship. They abandoned their wounded. They fled the system completely. They never came back. The academy was saved. The alarm stopped. Normal lights came back on. But everything had changed forever. The alien students stared at the humans with wide eyes. The professors kept their distance. Even the Drax warriors looked afraid. The humans had shown their true nature, and it was terrifying. Professor Zalther found Sarah in the medical bay. She was treating a wounded alien student. Her hands were gentle. Her voice was soft and kind, like nothing had happened. How do you do it, Captain? How do you switch from killer to caregiver so quickly? Sarah did not look up from bandaging the student wound. Because we have the professor. Humans learned long ago that we have capacity for terrible violence. But we also have capacity for incredible compassion. We choose which one the situation needs. Professor, there is one more lesson from human history I want you to remember. The most important one. What is that? The most dangerous human is the one you force to fight. Because a warrior who chooses peace has already won every battle in their mind. They know exactly how to destroy you. They just choose not to, until you give them no choice. Her reflection in the window showed cold eyes, ancient eyes that had seen too much death, the eyes of humanity. Professor Zalther finally understood the complete truth. The humans did not come to the academy as students. They came as teachers. They taught the galaxy what real war looks like, what real warriors are, what real strength means. And the galaxy would never be the same again. 3 years passed since graduation day. The human officers served across a galactic fleet. They kept the peace. They followed every rule. They were model soldiers, perfect in every way. But Professor Zalther could not forget. He still researched human history every night. He still saw those cold eyes in his dreams. Saracen eyes, Marcus Webb eyes, the eyes of predators pretending to be prey. One day an emergency transmission arrived at the academy. It came from the Outer Rim, a distress signal. The message was simple and terrifying. Unknown hostile force detected. Multiple systems under attack. Requesting immediate military response. The Galactic Council assembled quickly. They reviewed the intelligence reports. A new enemy had appeared. They called themselves the VA-Cron Collective. They were ruthless, aggressive, unstoppable. The VA-Cron had already conquered 12 systems in 2 months. They showed no mercy. They took no prisoners. They destroyed everything. The Council sent their best fleets. Ships from every major species. Drax warriors, Zentar strategists, Krell shock troops. The finest military force the galaxy ever assembled. They lost. Badly. 3 fleets were destroyed completely. 50,000 soldiers dead. The VA-Cron were too strong, too fast, too brutal. Panic spread through the galaxy. For the first time in 500 years, civilized space faced extinction. The council held another emergency meeting. This time the mood was desperate. We need a new strategy, one council member said. His voice shook with fear. We tried everything. Another replied. Nothing works against them. Silence filled the chamber. Then an elder counselor stood slowly. She was 300 years old. She had seen many wars, but never like this. There is one option we have not tried yet. Her voice was quiet but clear. What option? Everyone asked together. We asked the humans for help. Real help. We remove all restrictions. We let them fight the way they know how. The room exploded with arguments. Some agreed. Others refused. The debate lasted for hours. Finally, they voted. The decision was unanimous. They had no choice. Send for Captain Sarah Chun and her unit. Give them full command authority. Let them do whatever is necessary. A message was sent immediately. It reached Sarah's ship within minutes. She read it carefully. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands gripped the data pad tightly. Marcus Webb stood beside her. He read over her shoulder. What do we do, Captain? Sarah looked at him, then at the rest of her human crew. 20 faces, 20 warriors. They had been holding back for 3 years, following rules, being gentle, playing nice. Not anymore. Sarah's voice was cold and final. Send a message back to the council. Tell them we accept command. Tell them to evacuate all civilians from the war zone. Tell them to pull back all galactic forces. Marcus understood immediately. How much freedom are we authorized? Sarah smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was a smile of a wolf finally released from its chain. Complete freedom, Lieutenant. No rules. No restrictions. No mercy. She turned to address her entire crew. Her voice echoed through the ship. For 3 years we have been peacekeepers. We followed their rules. We fought their way. We held back our true nature. Every human on the ship stood at attention. They knew what was coming. That ends today. The VA Kron want war. Real war. They are about to learn what that word actually means. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All human units across the fleet. This is Captain Chun. Authorization code Alpha Omega 7. You are now released from standard combat protocols. Engage enemy forces with extreme prejudice. Show them why Earth is called a death world. Across the galaxy, human soldiers receive the message in 100 ships, on 50 stations, at 30 outposts. They all heard the same thing. The chain was broken. The leash was removed. The monster was free. Lieutenant Webb looked at Sarah. His face was serious. Captain, do you think the council understands what they just authorized? Sarah looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, the VA Kron were celebrating their victories. They thought they were the apex predators. They were wrong. No, Marcus. The council has no idea what they just unleashed. But the VA Kron are about to find out. She pressed a button. The ship engines roared to life. The human fleet began moving, not in formation, not following standard procedure. They moved like a pack of wolves stalking prey. Professor Zalther watched from the academy. He saw the human ships on long-range sensors. He saw how they moved, how they hunted. He whispered to himself in the empty observation room. What have we done? We opened the cage. We released the nightmare. An alert appeared on his screen. A recorded message from Sarah. It was addressed to him personally. He played it with shaking hands. Sarah's face appeared. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were ice cold. Professor Zalther, you spent 3 years studying human history. You learned about our wars, our weapons, our tactics. You thought you understood what humans are capable of. She leaned closer to the camera. You were wrong. Everything you read about, everything that terrified you, that was humans fighting each other, holding back because we shared the same planet, the same air, the same humanity. Her smile was terrifying. The VA Kron are not human. They are not our brothers. They are aliens who threaten our friends, our new family. And humans protect their family with absolutely everything. She stood up. Behind her, the bridge crew prepared for battle. What you studied was human history, Professor. Now you are about to witness human fury. Watch carefully. This is the final lesson. The message ended. The screen went black. Professor Zalther sat alone in the darkness. Outside the window, stars continued their eternal dance, beautiful and peaceful. But somewhere in that peaceful night, a storm was coming. A human storm. And the galaxy would never forget it.